Hey VC, Jeff, back again with another stack. It's a little all over the place, I guess. It was largely a study week, so I was kind of going back and forth through my hardcore kick and some backgroundy kind of music stuff. But yeah, just jump right in here. A lot of newer to me stuff and some revisits. So just jumping in, mostly vinyl in this case. This is a Japanese pressing of Cecil Taylor's Nefertiti. I think this cover was only Japan. It's like the second or third reissue, I guess. I don't know. Missing the Obi strip, but yeah, Japanese on Trio Records. I think there's like a Japanese insert too, but yeah, who cares? Yeah, pretty solid album. It's probably not his best, but it's a pretty good one. It's at least a 4. It's definitely gonna get another listen to see what I'm thinking. I've shown this before. It's a pretty cool concept album from Sunburned Hand of the Man. This is the Wedlock album. I didn't read the notes again, but the liner notes. But it's a 2 LP, 2 LP1. I think I only paid $7 for it. I think these go for pretty cheap. So it goes from like very kind of experimental to more jammy stuff. So they're one of those, like Goat or whatever. It's like one of those outfits where those like the members are constantly changing, and they're it's probably like 20 members. It's kind of like a experimental jam band is what I would say, but it's not very like harsh most of the time. But this what I remember from reading the liner notes in the last time I showed this. It was like a friend's or one of the band members' weddings, and like they basically just jammed for the whole weekend and recorded it. So it's a pretty good one. At least a 4. I might even go up to 4.25, 4.5, somewhere in there. But it's a pretty solid album. It's worth picking up if you see it on the cheap. I'm definitely holding on to that one for a while. This one wasn't as good as I was expecting to be, but it's still a pretty solid album. This is Tera Masahino's New York Times. So this, I think it was like 83-ish. Yeah, 83. So I was expecting a little less synth on this one, but it wasn't the case. I really like this era of him, but this particular album, it's very synth heavy. So I don't know. It's not quite city pop, but it's kind of bordering it while still being fusiony. The albums he did around here, I think it's called like Double Rainbow. That's actually probably my favorite of all of his albums. So that one's more like On the Corner or something like that. So yeah, Japanese trumpet player, trumpetist, trumpet, or whatever you call him. I don't know. I do think that he's a lot of times he's a little more. He can be more interesting than Miles Davis. This one, he does kind of copy Miles Davis an awful lot, but I think he kind of one-ups him in a lot of cases. This one, he's definitely digging into the synth quite heavily on this album. I'm not sure. I think he must have recorded it in New York. I didn't read all the liner notes, but it had like Japanese and English. It has Kenny Kirkland, Lou Volpe, Tom Barney, Richie Morales, and Manolo Padrina, if that means anything to anyone. But yeah, it's I don't know. The Discogs rating is pretty damn high on it. I'm saying, yeah, it's a very technical album, but it's very synth heavy, which is I don't know. So for me, it's like a 4. On Discog, I think it was like a 4.7. So it's just a matter of taste. This is a decent album. Certain Ratio. I believe this is a first UK pressing. I think this is considered their first album. Self-titled, maybe. Oh no, I'd like to see you again. So, um, not their most experimental album. It's still, this one's fairly rooted in like a coming from like a funk or something like that. So it's like post punk with funk. I guess I don't. You know, think of like their contemporaries. It would have been like Gang of Four or whatever. They're embracing more of the like the jazzy funk into things. This is a pretty decent album. 4-ish. I do like it. It's going to get more listens. Definitely keeping that one. This was a thrift find, which I think is pretty interesting. So West meets East. I'm going to screw this name up, but Yehudi Menuhin, I guess. I'm guessing he's maybe Israeli or something. And then Ravi Shankar, of course. And then we've got some other heavy hitters on there. Hepzadiah Menuhin, and Ala Raka, and Prada Sen. And yeah, so Tabla and Tempura. So the concept with this is like, yeah, so of course Ravi Shankar, so they're doing like, what do you call them? I gotta replace this cover. But they're doing like, what do you call it? Ragas, right? So they're doing like the ragas. Like the first half is a little more like, it has a little more of the Eastern Indian sound, and the second side's a little more Western. The first side's a lot more compelling. They kind of lost me a little bit on the second side. It's not bad. It's just not as interesting. So the first side gets a 5. The second side gets a 4. I don't know. So overall low 4s. But yeah, if you see it, it's a really nice recording. It's very dynamic sounding. Yeah, Angel usually puts out good records. So yeah, I grabbed that. It was very interesting. So recommend, but yeah, probably they might have other recordings that are better. I don't know, but I think this was recorded at a jazz festival or something. I forget. I read the back, but I've been so busy. Anyway, it's an interesting find, and I don't think they go for a lot. I'm gonna screw this one up. Yeah, this one is. You know what? I better look this up. I'm gonna screw this up. I know. Yeah, I should know my Japanese better right now. Itsutsu no Akai Fuzen, which yeah, of course translates into 5, red balloons or whatever. So folk psych, Japanese. This and the part 1 are considered to be basically their best albums. Kind of on my radar because of Julian Cope's top 100 Japanese albums or whatever. So it's definitely worth a listen. It's pretty solid. It starts losing me after a while just because it starts sounding a little bit the same. I'm sure if like my Japanese is a little better, I'd probably enjoy it a little more. But it's a damn good album. So yeah, 4.5, pretty damn solid. I did pick up. I didn't find the first half, but I did get like a best of comp that came out before this, so I'll probably give that a listen. But yeah, so Japanese folk psych, nothing too crazy, but it made for pretty good background music for study. Yeah, so this one's quite excellent. I'm gonna screw up the name, but I think it's Koti Tahua, and then the album is Imisen Kozvot, I guess. So I want to say they're Swedish. They could be Finnish. But yeah, obviously kind of hard. So it's 45 RPM. I guess it could be because they're like a mini LP. I didn't clock it, but I'm guessing it's around 30 to 35 minutes. So yeah, it's kind of in that anarcho punk. I don't know. There's no translations, but it reminds me an awful lot of. It sounds a lot like the band I really like in Japan on the Aphids. But yeah, it's in that anarcho punk vein. Pretty hard hitting, fast, female vocals. Done really, really well. So this gets a 5. It is a damn good album, but it's not for everyone. But it's, if you like that kind of harder edged anarcho-punk stuff, it's a damn good one. We visited this one again. I think I like their cassette a little bit better, but this is SPF's Paul's McCartney. So again, little on the like noise experimental end of things. You know, there's definitely some grooves or whatever on this, but yeah, don't get full. The first track kind of turned me off on this album at first, but yeah, once you get a little more into it, then it's a damn good album. You know, 4.5-ish for me. I do like the cassette they released right before this a little bit better. I think I sent that to Sean. I can't remember. Yep, and I bid on this and won. I got a pretty clean copy of first pressing too, of Lydia Lunch's Queen of Siam, arguably her best album. Very happy to get that. Yeah, 1313? I think it's called the one that, or 13.13. I don't know. The one that came after this is pretty damn good too. And then their yeah, Teenage Jesus, and the most listenable of her stuff is probably the 8 Eye Spy, which I'm kind of going back and forth to whether I really want that or not, but I'll probably get it eventually. Yeah, got a pretty decent price on this. Yeah, it just has like a, yeah, has the original inner sleeve, which has all the track listings. So this is the one that has, oh shoot, what was on this one? So I think, yeah, her cover is Spooky, which is excellent. Atomic Bongos is on this, which is super. I think, what was it, Gloomy Sunday was pretty cool. Lady Scarface is pretty cool. It's like swingy, jazzy at times. It's kind of interesting, really interesting album, but definitely not for everyone, because she was part of that no wave. You know, like if you like early Sonic Youth, she was probably her most famous track is the one she did with Sonic Youth, which was what, Death Valley 69. So that would have been pretty contemporary to this. But yeah, excellent album. For me, it's a 5, but for some other people, maybe not. I don't know. I really like that one. This is some, I think they were from Pittsburgh, Philly or Pittsburgh. I want to say Pittsburgh, though. Osrotten. The system works for them, I guess. Is that what it is? Yep. So again, kind of the anarcho-punk 90s. This is the white vinyl version. I think the other colors go for a little more money, but is it essential? No, but it's a pretty decent album. You know, pretty solid 4. So they did the like, you know, crashed it with the cover unfolds into a poster and so on. I was kind of over there, but yeah, it actually had some cool reading inside. Unfortunately, it discolored the poster, but it had like an old yeah, punk zine in there from New York, which is fun reading. Just going through all the old prices and the reviews and stuff. And I'm just reading that old thing. I've discovered a few brands that are kind of interesting, but not essential. But if you see it cheap, it might be fun to pick up. This one is excellent though. Psychic TV's New York Scum. This is UK pressing. It is a limited edition. You know, I should just take this price tag off. It's coming off anyway. Okay, yeah, I picked this one up while I was in Japan. It is a limited edition. I think it's a couple thousand on these. I think it's not like super duper limited, but it's stamped on the inner liner. No, it's not that. I guess it's 5,000. So this is number 4143. Yeah, I want to say 5,000. So not like super duper limited, but you know, how many people are buying this? But yeah, you can still find them. Obviously, they don't go for they don't go for a ton. But I think I paid, well, it's like 1,500, which would have been like $10 US ish with the exchange rate. I think it was a pretty good exchange rate at the time. But I think when I looked online, you can probably pick it up for about 30-ish. But live album, I think it must have been recorded in New York. 1983. So of course Genesis, Pete Orange, and is on here. Christopherson, Alex Ferguson, yeah. But yeah, that kind of harsh, experimentally, you know, like it reminds me a lot of the kind of some of the live TG stuff, where they're a lot more experimental, droney. But very good album, love that. Definitely need some more in that vein. Moving on, sailing on. I've shown this before, it just shows up every once in a while. So Abandoned DC, Bad Brains, of course, Sean First Hardcore Band, maybe. Fighting words. But yeah, so yeah, some people would argue like Paid to Come's the first hardcore song, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, this is an excellent comp. It's more or less the only Bad Brains I need, but yeah, I'll probably get their first album and maybe I'll get some of their catalog later. But I've owned them over the years, and I think I actually prefer the comp. It's got a pretty good coverage of all their periods. It flows quite well, so I highly recommend this. I'm not positive this has a vinyl pressing. It may or may not. But it covers their hardcore stuff. It covers their more rock, reggae, yeah, reggae period pretty well, and it does flow quite well. So yeah, so Abandoned DC, Bad Brains, highly recommend. I think this was their first. Ravenettes, Chain Gang of Love. They did reissue this on vinyl fairly recently. I probably still get it. I don't know. I'm happy with the CD of this. The CDs go for pretty cheap. So the big song on this was That Great Love Sound, I guess. That Great Love Sound. Yep, second track. But kind of fuzzy garagey alternative, little slicker. Duo. I don't know if they were married, but boyfriend girlfriend. I'm kind of under the impression that at least while they were recording, they were a couple. But yeah, it's a pretty solid album, like 4-ish. This one is excellent. This is Dodo, I guess. This is Dono Michi. I think her name was Michi. So it's a Japanese DJ. I forget what the actual genre is called, but yeah, if you think like DJ Shadow, it's a little, it's like I'd call her DJ Shadow 2.0. So she's doing a lot of same stuff like Shadow was doing is like his earlier career, like introducing, where he's sampling a lot of less of the hip hop stuff that he's doing. He's been doing later in his career, but more in the more experimental end of things. So I would consider this a subgenre of hip hop for sure. It's mostly she doesn't do vocals. It's all like instrumental or resampling. She does sample a lot of stuff like old school Beastie Boys and 80s hip hop on here. But the neat thing is that, like Shadow was mixing stuff like psych albums into hip hop. She's actually taking like traditional Japanese songs, using like shamisen, and she's doing like Baroque classical with harpsichord, and turning it into like pretty insane hip hop, instrumental hip hop. So it's kind of hard to describe, but if you like introducing and this hits just a little bit harder, but not crazy. And she's sampling a lot of folk, but it is not soft. It's kind of hard to explain. But highly recommend this album if you can find it. Dodo, I guess, and Dodo Michi, so DJ out of Osaka. She has some pretty interesting collabs. I did pick up one of her other collaborations. I probably will pick up some more of her stuff because it's pretty interesting. It's not like super common in Japan, but you can certainly find it. It's a little harder here, but I do want to say she has some U.S. releases possibly. Yeah, revisited this one. Absolutely love it. I got to see these guys a few times over the years. I believe they're from Richmond. That's definitely a Richmond picture. Hotel X, this is, I think they're considered their first full-length residential suite. Definitely be picking up some more of theirs over time on SST. This is that kind of weird period SST was like branching out a little bit. So I think they got really panned, but this is a damn good album, I think. 4.5 for me, pretty solid. Broke out the Mozart a little bit while studying. Don't need to talk too much about that, but that's a great album. And yeah, this was an interesting one I picked up in Japan. So it's a split album between Japan's Government Alpha and Tube Tentacles, which I believe are somewhere in Europe, German maybe. Extreme Feelings, Extreme Music. It's very harsh experimental noise stuff. You're screaming and feedback and all that fun stuff. Not for the faint of heart, but a pretty interesting listen. Yeah, it's a pretty not safe for work cover there if you zoom in there. Yeah, this is the deluxe packaging, so it has some postcard inserts kind of things are kind of cool. Some cool artwork. But yeah, Sean, you like this, but the vast majority of the VC would not. So Government Alpha and Tube Tentacles, Extreme Feelings. So I'm gonna stop it right there. Probably get another big stack, but yeah, I don't have a lot of at-home study days this week, so we'll see what happens. Have a good one, guys, and I hope everyone enjoyed the Super Bowl. I totally missed it because I was at work. I haven't even looked at it. Have a good one.